gonna be okay. You know, I didn't think there would be anything wrong because no one I knew really had ever had anything wrong, so I didn't think it'd be any different for me. We'd made a decision that we were gonna have a C-section. I was laying there and I could hear around me, I could hear the doctor saying that there was bleeding. I heard her at one point call her colleagues and ask them what they think she should do. And then the next thing, I woke up in ICU. Jason decided not to tell me and let me sleep, but I didn't get to see Sullivan until the next day. It was like the happiest day of my life, but the worst day of my life. Here I was a mother for the first time, and I had this beautiful daughter, but I was thankful I got to have her and be pregnant, but I knew it was never gonna happen again. I'd say from the minute they told us about my hysterectomy, they reminded me that I had my ovaries, and they always said, you know, you have options. There's surrogacy where, you know, you and Jason can still have your biological child, and from day one, they pretty much said that and gave us that option. I just went online and looked for surrogate information and surrogate agencies and happened to contact Zara.
For intended parents, you're going through something so personal with somebody who, much of the time, if it is through an agency, is a stranger to begin with. You meet this person, you match with this person, next thing you know, you're in a room with them somewhere and their, you know, legs are up in stirrups.
Zara gave me a call out of the blue and said, you know, I have a potential family for you. Would it be okay if I share your profile with them? And she was very supportive, and she is the one that eventually matched me with Stephanie and Jason.
We didn't care about, you know, race, religion, just someone that would keep us informed and keep our babies safe.
It was a three-way call between Stephanie, myself, and Zara.
From the moment we talked, I felt like we had a bond.
I said, what did you say your daughter's name was? And she said, Sullivan. And I said, well, that's kind of strange because my son's name is Sullivan.
Gina and I were talking like we'd been friends forever.
We just started talking about her experiences and why she needed a surrogate and why I wanted to be a surrogate.
It seemed like we already had like things in common. So I was like, yep, we're done. This is it. We can get started.
The first thing I thought when I saw the ultrasound with twins on it was, I knew it.
When she told me it was twins, I guess it really didn't matter. I thought it would just be that much more fun.
They put in 2 really good embryos, and I happened to be pretty fertile, so I was relieved that there were only twins.
Having twins, I'm excited. It's very surreal for me right now because I'm not the one that's pregnant. I can still enjoy a beer. I'm not the one getting sick. When they're here, you know, it will be like, okay, here we are, 3 babies under 3.
I'm so happy that we have a chance to have some more children too. It makes us a better family overall.
That's the one part that's giving me the most anxiety is the delivery, not knowing like right now if it's planned or if it's gonna happen, like how do we get 6 hours away? I'm not worried about having 2 babies right now. I'm worried about getting here and bringing them home.
Stephanie and I talk on the phone or email or text daily. I don't know, for me it'd be hard to be away from what's going on, so I don't know how she does it, and I admire her for that.
I'm sad, I'm mad, I get jealous that I can never do it. But I have friends that haven't been able to get pregnant at all. So I know that I'm blessed that I was able to at least once.
Well, I was 23 years old, and I had not been feeling well for a few months. I finally went to the doctor, and when I started telling him what my symptoms were, he looked concerned. He said, I want you to have an ultrasound. When I woke up from the surgery, my doctor leaned over me and she said, I'm sorry, honey, we had to take everything. It hit me that I just had a complete hysterectomy. I had to face the fact that I was never going to bear children, which was devastating for me. I never knew what I wanted to do with my life. I never knew what I wanted to do for a career. That was the only thing that I knew, was that I wanted to be a mom. And so this news was like the worst thing that could happen to me.
We were together for 3 or 4 years, and a lot of her friends at that time were all having babies. And I saw how hurt she was every time we went to go visit them in a baby shower. I could just see it in her eyes. I mean, sometimes she was crying when we left, and I knew it was a real tough time for her. I remember one particular time, there was one of her friends asked me to actually rub her belly.
I look over and there's Mike, you know, like rubbing her belly, and I felt like I was being stabbed. And it wasn't anybody's fault. Nobody did anything wrong. I wasn't mad at her. You know, I wasn't even really mad at, I was just mad. I never even thought about surrogacy. It never even occurred to me, never even crossed my mind. Nobody ever suggested it. Once I started researching, it was like the light bulb went off. I like the fact that my husband would be able to have genetic connection to the children, because it bothered me that he wouldn't.
So I said, I don't want to do it.
Even though he said it didn't, I felt guilty about that.
Well, then she turned to me and says, well, I want to do this for you. And I said, no, I still don't. I don't feel right that it's my half and not your half of genetics.
Just because I can't carry on my genetics, obviously I didn't have my ovaries, I felt like, why does he need to be punished? Finally, I felt comfortable with the way that I was going to have my children. Finally, it did not feel like I was making some sort of concession. And when I thought about surrogacy, I just felt nothing but positive. I decided to do a video diary. It was mostly for myself to just have a memory of what I went through.
Today is October 11th, Friday, October 11th. And we are officially beginning our journey into surrogacy.
So here's Alicia. She just got here last night for the transfer, which we're not really sure when it's going to be yet.
She's going to be our future. So we want to make sure that she was going to be, a viable candidate.
Just her smile. I remember when she sent pictures of her before we met in person, I just looked right away and I knew. She was always really enthusiastic and gung-ho right from the beginning, and never felt for one moment that anything could go wrong.
Are we optimistic or are we worried?
Not worried. It'll be a pregnancy.
In her eyes, this was happening. There was no question. We were gonna get pregnant, and we were gonna do this, and we're gonna have a baby, and I needed that.
I'm just freaking out right now. I woke up in the middle of the night, and all I could think about was, what the hell was I thinking? This is absolutely crazy. Why don't we just adopt?
Zara didn't experience the pregnancy aspect, and that's what she wanted to experience. Literally, they were on the phone every day. She shared every aspect with Zara.
Here we go, baby. This is for you. Wow.
Push as hard as I can for about 45 seconds.
I felt this huge need to go through an entire pregnancy and to feel like I got to experience a pregnancy.
We just got our transfer. And I wish we would have taped it, but I think we just were too freaked out and didn't really think about it.
Very surreal.
That was too cool for words.
In a surrogate, I was looking for somebody that I would feel safe carrying my baby. And also having somebody that I can be in contact with, that I felt friendship with.
One embryo was a no-brainer because more than one child was not an option for this family.
Because we're older, we wanted a single embryo transfer, and that's how I found Kelly.
I'm only having one embryo transferred because I've had twins previously, and I'm glad I experienced it once, but never again. I get baby fever every year. I feel that I need to be pregnant. I don't know why. It's exciting for me, and it's exciting for my kids They think it's natural for people to have babies and just let other people take them home. So now that they're older this time, I think they'll understand a little better.
Here, let's wash your hands and face. And then you can go ride your bike until Mom comes, okay?
I'm glad and excited to do it for Diane and Chuck. They're ready and I'm ready, and they're gonna make awesome parents.
The babies' names are going to be Jason if it's a boy, because Chucky picked that name, and Ashley if it's a girl, because that was my dad's name.
Diane had some complications and had to, go through some stuff until she could get her, what did she have?
She has MS, or had MS.
Yeah, and she had to get on some medicine, and they told her she would never be okay enough to have a baby, but they've got new medicines nowadays, and she's 100% now, and she is so excited about having a baby.
So I just am working very hard and hoping that there are more drugs coming out that would make my symptoms even better. I don't want to make my child's life be like, oh, his mom has MS, I don't want him to think about that. I don't want that to be an issue with him. I say him or her, I don't even know. I have no idea. That's a fear that I have, that, the child would be embarrassed of me, because, you don't know.
My fears of having a baby are my age. I'm a lot older than most parents. That is one of my #1 concerns, that and the health of the baby. So I think I'm a little too old for having a kid right now.
You'd be a good dad, right, Chuck?
I think I would be a good dad.
Thank goodness for my job, because I can retire at 55, which is just a few years away, and I can be a stay-at-home mom with a pension.
I'm kind of old here for having a kid, so it's kind of tough.
He just accepted the fact that it's just going to be him and I, and he was fine with that. And then so me with the baby, it's a little bit, something he's got a little bit to get used to, although it'll be wonderful. Am I hoping for a boy or girl? I'm hoping for a boy. I know, I just am, but if it's a girl, God bless. See, I can see the way he is as a husband. He's incredible. And it's not going to be any bit of a leap to be a dad. Yeah. The bassinet's going to be right there, and it's meant to be the baby's room. But in the beginning, it was meant for the foster child. That's why the bed is a twin bed. But now, after the baby comes, I'll be able to sleep in this bed, so it's all going to be utilized.
When I first met Robert, I was just instantly attracted to him.
She had this smile, and that's not quite the one I was looking for, but I just found myself just doing this quite a bit.
Robert and I were talking about the possibility of getting married. And I had explained to him that my mom was a surrogate, and it's something that I've always wanted to do.
She was pretty clear that if we were going to get married, that I'd have to be okay with the fact that she wanted to be a surrogate.
If you're not going to be okay with this, no matter how much I love you, but I won't marry you. He agreed. He was okay with it. The darkest moment for me with my first surrogacy was the fear that I wasn't going to be able to take care of my kids, because I had such this depression inside of me.
Thank you.
And I didn't know how to deal with it.
That was one of the big things that a lot of people were worried about. She's going to have way too much of a connection. She's not strong enough. I think she's making a big mistake by doing this. And I'll tell you, even for me, that was a bit of a concern. Your body goes through all the changes of getting ready to have a baby, and then there's no child there. I was really concerned that she was just not gonna be able to, not just emotionally, but mentally cope with that. We weren't even sure how it was gonna be until that day came. We just knew that this is something that she really wanted to do, and the only way to find out is to do it.
I hid it from my husband. I hid it from the one person that I shouldn't have hid it from, besides my husband, was my mom.
She keeps a lot of things to herself, but you could tell there was something wrong.
I don't know why I didn't tell my mom. She's probably the one person that I probably could have turned to and got the most help out of it because she had gone through it. But it goes back